19-year-old niece, who also recently was killed in a homicide. So please keep all of those in our thoughts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a couple of items here for good and welfare, and please, I just want to read recommendations. For anyone addressing the school committee during good and welfare, please begin with your name and your address. Your comment shall be no more than 5 minutes of speaking time and should be in good decorum. Please be aware that the committee cannot respond to you during good and welfare, but may direct you to an appropriate member of the administration team or may meet with you directly after the meeting for further discussion. But first, we're going to have a presentation by the Woonsocket High School, and Mr. Ernst is going to explain what's going to happen.
First, I'd like to invite the school committee down, so we're going to lower the screen for our presentation.
Okay.
All set. Let that come into focus. Okay, first of all, I'd like to welcome our students, Madison Belgrade, Peyton Haywood, Miles Molitor, and Kaya Boschman. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about some programs that are going on at the high school, our peer mentor program with our older students supporting our younger students, our positive behavioral intervention supports program, which is keyed into our school values of respect, responsible, and safe. And we're going to finish with a quick look at our wellness room and peace areas that were developed this year. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our high school students.
Peer mentors are people who help create a welcoming, inclusive environment by offering encouraging resources, sharing school knowledge, and promoting academic and personal success for younger students and incoming high schoolers. They assist students with orientation. They help adjust to school, help new students adjust to school life, and connect students to available resources through their examples and involvement. Peer mentors foster a sense of belonging and help build a supportive school culture. There are currently 86 peer mentors at Woonsocket High School. 32 have been trained in teen mental health first aid on November 20th. Sophomore peer mentors are working with advisor Monica Rodriguez in I can't pronounce that. um, House on Healthy Relationships. Junior peer mentors are working with the advisor Ann Croft and the Chris Collins Foundation to create a school-wide suicide awareness campaign. Senior peer mentors are working with Christine Audette and our substance use prevention staff member Stacy Brown to create a school-wide campaign on substance use prevention.
We have a thing at our school called PBIS, which is a positive behavior intervention and support system. It's a school-wide approach keeping a safe and learning environment at the Woonsocket High School. PBIS teachers are here to reinforce our school values, respectful, responsible, and safe by recognizing positive behaviors and providing consistent expectations and building supportive school community.
Yeah, it's okay. What are our Nova notices? So we have these things at our schools, like a little card, and teachers can give it to students when they're having like good behavior, and it's like our reward system at the high school. So Nova notices are our school's way of recognizing and rewarding students for demonstrating our school values, respectful, responsible, and safe. Students can earn those notices for exhibiting these behaviors, promoting a culture of encouragement and supporting throughout the school. It fosters a sense of community and accountability among peers. And there's soon coming in Spanish, French, and Portuguese, so all our students can get some if they don't know English. And then redeeming our Nova notices is like the purpose that we have for it at our school. So you can get rewards for it in like tournaments. So students can redeem their Nova notices for various exciting rewards, including items from our redemption cart filled with prizes and spirit gear. They can also enter raffles for bigger prizes and enjoy special privileges and events, fostering a sense of culture and positive reinforcement throughout the school community. So our PBIS events and activities, engaging students through positive recognition and community building activities. Our school hosts various PBIS events designated to celebrate positive behavior and foster community spirit. From flip events where students present Nova notices to staff to exciting school-wide activities, we create an environment where everyone feels included and recognized to their contributions.
So our school has this thing called peace areas. In some classrooms, wait, where's the number? Okay, so some classrooms have an area in the room that's a peace area. It's a space where students can go to feel safe and if they feel overwhelmed by something. They're supposed to go for 5 minutes. There's things that they can do like fidgets, coloring books, and strategy cards to encourage emotional regulation and positive behavior. By offering students a place to regroup, we foster a supportive atmosphere and conducive to learning. Like the peace areas, we have a separate place called the wellness room. It is designed to help students manage their emotions during the school day. Run by the guidance team, this calming space features sensory tools, fidgets, and comfortable seating, providing a safe space for students to refocus and regain their balance when needed.
So in conclusion, the focus is empowering students at Woonsocket High School. I'm really proud of our peer mentors, especially the teen mental health training, which we all know is such a big need here in our community. The peace areas, the wellness room gives students an opportunity to self-regulate and return to class. It's been successful. I want to thank our guidance team. I want to thank our PBIS team that meets every month for their efforts. And at this point, we'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Who offers the students the Nova notices? Who offers them the Nova notices?
The teachers or
staff
members.
Staff members? Yeah. About the mental.
So does this come off? It does. Okay. Yeah. So our teachers and staff members offer students Nova notices, but sometimes during the year we'll have special weeks where during an advisory, the teachers will give students Nova notices that they can either give to other students or even to our teachers themselves.
button. Okay. I don't know how to use this. Personally, my favorite is when I got to put in a raffle. So we have this thing where students and teachers could go in on Friday morning and eat lunch together, not lunch, breakfast together. I didn't win, but I thought it was a good idea to connect with your teachers more.
Open up my item. Just see, please. What are you in?
Because they all had breakfast in my office, and you can see some of our students doing that in the slideshow. So thank you very much. You guys have a great night.
That's the right one. That says topics and action. All right. The one was posted earlier, and the new one wasn't really posted.
I would hate for you to go up and walk back.
Sorry to interrupt.
As we all know, chronic absenteeism is a big issue, not only in Woonsocket or in Rhode Island, but even like across the nation. So I decided to do my presentation on some of the efforts we are doing currently at Globe Park to kind of work towards improvement with chronic absenteeism. It honestly starts with the front door. When I first went to Globe, you didn't have a lot of teachers in the hallways or staff like visible outside of the ones, you know, receiving students, you know, one-to-one pairs and things to that nature. Now there's a plethora of people. They're in the hallways, they're in the front foyer. We even have staff outside. So as part of being more positive and creating a culture of warmth, we're starting our days with smiles. Every location, the drop-off lane, the office if they come in late with the secretary, hallways. My third grade team even goes so far as to pick random days, and they give the kids rockin' rewards just for coming to school. So just to try to increase, you know, motivation with that regard. At each year, at the start of the school year, we always have like expectation assemblies. I'm sure every building principal does it. This year, we added assemblies that talked about attendance. I stole an idea from Kathy Carvalho at Post Citizens, and we actually created an attendance pledge. And I went over what the Globe Park staff were going to do to increase the welcoming environment and things that I had expected the students to do. Another piece that comes about with regards to attendance that a lot of people maybe overlook is bus infractions. And so I was doing a little tracking and noticed that a student got in trouble on the bus, and I had to reach out. Oftentimes they weren't going to come to school the next day. So I also sent out bus contracts and just kind of went over generalized rules, asked the parents to sign them and send them in. We also, in an effort to create a more welcoming environment, got rid of tardy slips and instead came up with the "we're glad you're here" slips. Each thing that goes out to the parents is also translated. Front English, the back is Spanish, and then as needed for my Portuguese families. We do whole building classroom rewards, and there's literally a sign outside every door or on the whiteboard inside that says attendance. Each day that there's 100% attendance, they color in a letter. The students, once they get attendance, get to vote on random things that have no cost. Extra field trip. Fourth grade, a big hit is game day, and they all bring in board games, and they have 35 minutes of playing board games with each other. It can be anything, wearing a hat, stuffies, pajamas. And then, of course, we do individualized incentives. As you can see, we had a special guest the month of November. So at Globe right now, we just are looking at perfect attendance. And the students each month that have 100% attendance get a certificate and a pencil. And Miss Johnson, who's one of my PBIS team members, goes door to door and hand delivers the certificates and takes pictures for us. So it's just one more thing to kind of jumpstart, give them some pride. Now, parent communication is also very, very important. So as part of trying to increase our attendance, each month when I send out my Globe Gazette, I actually put the number of students that had perfect attendance on there. I also share tips and tricks. We recently added a whiteboard posted next to where they would sign their students in or out. That actually has the previous month's perfect attendance and our goal for this month. About 2 years ago, my PBIS team, when we first got started, created a slide deck that has all about attendance and the importance of coming to school, how it decreases education gaps and increases social awareness and things to that nature is there. And we send that out as one of my first back to school that goes out every fall. Now, this data was taken straight from RIDE, and it was taken last Friday, right before I turned in my presentation. Our efforts have honestly yielded positivity. We are currently, at this time, 12.8% higher than we were this time last year. When I looked today, we were at 13.6. So our efforts are continuously improving. For me personally, and always being reflective, I've also met with Hannah Goodwin Brown twice now to kind of think of ways to kind of help with those kids that are chronically absent, tier 1+ strategies and tier 2 strategies. So I've already got some things ready to roll out in January, and hopefully we continue to see an increase.
Here we go. Michelle's last name. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Ernst, thank you and your students for coming. Michelle Kendall, thank you for your presentation. It's good to see the improvement too. That's great. That's good to see it. We're still in the good and welfare segment. Would anyone like to speak to the school committee? Please come up, state your name and address, and obviously follow the 5 minutes of speaking time.
Hi, my name is Ian Chernowski. I'm an educator here at Woonsocket Middle School at Villanova. This is just an idea I've had kind of rolling around in my head for actually a few years now. And I was just kind of inspired to speak based on these attendance presentations. Obviously, one thing we notice in our building is that as we approach the winter months, attendance drops way off. And, goes down at least. And it's one of the reasons is because students just don't necessarily want to walk in the cold. And I understand there's constraints about busing and being able to afford a certain busing distances and things like that. I get that. But one thing I just kind of want to put out in the air for consideration is that things like the Rhode Island Foundation, the Champlain Foundation, and so on. One thing they love doing is sponsoring capital improvement projects. I'm sure some of you are aware that the Career Center just got a grant from the Champlain Foundation. Unfortunately, they only will give to the same organization every 2 years, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying in 2 years or so. But one thing I think that would be a real benefit, and I just don't even know who to begin to talk to about something like this. So I just want to get this idea out because I've been thinking about it for years. Is in the middle schools, we have that front entranceway. I don't know what you would call it, but where all the students like to gather while they're waiting to come in the morning. And to me, it seems like this would be an ideal location for these things that they call electric infrared heating panels. And basically, you put electricity in them, they give off a heat that you feel, kind of like a heat lamp. And I feel like that would, be a way encourage kids to be like, okay, I know if I do walk through, whatever distance to get to school, that I'll be able to wait, under some kind of warmth. And the reason why I think this might be something that's viable is because obviously like electricity would be a concern, but you put them on a timer and they'd only have to run for 20 minutes a day, right? Like from 7:05 to 7:25. And as soon as the kids goes in, they turn off. And like the impact on the electric bill would be minimal. And I really think there's a lot of organizations who are very interested in funding things for schools and improving, attendance in high risk, at risk communities and things like that, would be very interested in funding such a project to like install some kind of, heaters or something like that. Like that wouldn't be like a huge impact to energy bills, but would provide, an incentive for a kid to go to school in the winter, at least knowing that they won't be waiting outside 20 minutes in the cold for the doors to open. Just an idea. Just trying to, because I don't even know who to begin to get such an idea going, but just something to consider. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Anyone else care to speak to the school committee? No? Okay, hearing nobody, we shall move on. Superintendent McGee, your recognitions and announcements, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burke.
Thank you.
So I want to first start off by recognizing our Woonsocket High School students that were here this evening and just to let the committee and the community know that we do have an amazing peer mentor program at the high school. And it sounds like the PBIS program is working nicely. It's a really good incentive for our students. So I want to congratulate the students, Woonsocket High School students and staff and Mr. Ernest for doing a great job with PBIS and with recognizing students, positive behaviors. I also want to recognize Mrs. Kennel and Globe Park for their attendance efforts. They really have done a great job, as you saw this evening. We've seen some dramatic improvements in attendance across all of our elementary schools and our middle schools. And I had the pleasure of being there that day, the day that Mrs. Kennel and Mrs. Johnson went from class to class with the certificates for the students who had perfect attendance for the month. It was a joy, and I was able to sneak into a picture. I mean, it was great. The kids were really excited, and it's just the kids have really they really internalize the fact that they want to come to school, and that it's really it's a great thing that I saw over there. So kudos to Mrs. Kennel and to all of our schools for the work that they do to try to improve student attendance. The Polar Express, for the second year in a row here in Woonsocket, and the Polar Express has been going, for about 25 years or so. And this is the second year in a row that we have sent approximately 175 third grade students from the Woonsocket Education Department and their adult chaperones, family member and/or parent. They rode the Polar Express on Saturday, December 13th. I wasn't able to ride it this year, but last year I rode it, and I've seen some of the photos from the event, and it was clear that our students and their families really enjoyed the magic of the season. So I want to thank the Pepito Foundation and Miriam Kaba for really providing this opportunity for our students. Many of them would not have this opportunity if it were not for the Pepito Foundation and the grant that's used to provide the opportunity for our students. The next item I would like to recognize, a group I'd like to recognize is Health Matters Employee Wellness Committee sponsored a district-wide contest in which each building, each school in the district created a gratitude wall during the month of November. The staff and students participated in constructing these walls, and school committee chair Bourget and myself judged each submission from the school based on creativity and participation. And these, the purpose it was to demonstrate and to say what they were grateful for. A variety of of reasons to be grateful. And I'm proud to announce that the winning school this year is Villanova Middle School. So congratulations to Villanova Middle School. I have a banner that I'm going to present to everyone that's here from Villanova Middle School. Come on up. Robin and Mrs. Sinkmar. Ian, come on up here.
Cool. Good. Very good, very good.
You need me to. Yeah, come on in. Come on in. Yeah. Picture.
Gotta get out of it.
Right. Congratulations. Great job.
That's great.
And finally, I would like to, as we approach our holiday recess, I would like to wish everyone, teachers, staff, administrators, students, families, I would like to wish them a very happy, safe, and healthy holiday recess. The holiday recess begins on December 23rd is the last day of school, so it goes from the 24th through January 2nd. School resumes on January 5th. So I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday recess, and we look forward to, although we still have a few more days, I look forward to seeing everyone next week for the first 2 days and then returning on January 5th. With that, Mr. Vice Chair, that concludes my recognitions and announcements.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. I'm going to piggyback on your comments here and say, on behalf of the school committee and its members, I also want to wish the faculty, the staff, and the students and their families a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holiday, Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. And we look forward to seeing you in 2026. On behalf of I want to congratulate again the Villanova for their gratitude contest winning, and I want to say thank you. And finally, the Polar Express is a wonderful experience, and I've had the opportunity to ride on the Polar Express, so I want to say too that I believe. Anyone else want to make a comment for Dr. McGee's recognitions and announcements?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Acting Chair.
Yeah, I can see it.
I saw photos of the tree, a gratitude wall at Villanova, and it was really beautiful. It was very well done, and I do want to congratulate you. It was very impressive. I didn't realize there was a contest because I only saw Villanova's, but it was beautiful. Excellent.
Very good. Anybody else? Oh, good. I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's recognitions and announcements. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the ayes have it. We now move on to the approval of our minutes. I will make a motion to approve the November 12th, 2025 special closed meeting minutes.
Second?
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any corrections? Okay, roll call vote. Dr. McGee?
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion now to approve the November 12th, 2025 special open meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any corrections? Okay, roll call. Dr. McGee?
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
And finally, a motion to approve the November 19th, 2025 open meeting minutes. Do I have a second? I'll make a
Second?
motion in a second. Mrs. Costa. Any corrections? Dr. McGee, roll call vote?
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
All righty. Okay. Moving on now to the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Costa. Is there any school committee member who would like to take any item from the consent agenda out of order? Hearing none then, let's see, hearing none, we will now just ask Dr. McGee to have a roll call vote on the consent agenda in its entirety.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Okay, well, moving on. This is easy. All right. Okay, gotta keep you awake. All right. Okay, all right. At this time, we are going to hear communications from our student representatives, Natalia and Fatima. They did it wrong? Natalie and Fatima.
Good evening, everyone. So far, it's been pretty steady. I would like to start off with a shout out to David Vega for getting an acceptance to MIT through Questbridge. So that was very amazing, David.
Wow.
I would also like to add that he has a full ride for all 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
For him, wow.
Going off of that, speaking of college, Woonsocket High School held a senior week, which honestly just helped a lot. It helped us with college applications, working through FAFSA. Some students had to do the CSS profiles and stuff like that. We had counselors and just a lot of support there in the library. We would hold them during half a period or like if it was an advisory period. We also had on-the-spot decisions for Rick. That was there. A lot of people got accepted. I think we had 20 out of 21 students get accepted on the spot, so that was good to know. Sorry. We also had the University of Rhode Island come in and help students with their TD programs, which was due, I think, the 15th. Yeah, so a couple days ago. That was also really good. Sorry. And then I'd also like to mention that the same exact program that held the senior week, which is ETS, a talent development program. We had a field trip that took us to University of New Hampshire. It was a long drive, but it was fun. We learned about the campus. We've never been up there. We always just go to URI or like Rick. So it was good to see other places. Yeah, and then advisories. I'd like to mention that advisories have been really helpful lately. I know as a senior, I've only spent my advisory doing like schoolwork, but now it's just been like a whole bunch of information being thrown at you that students usually don't know. It was really good to like just sit there and like work on portfolios and stuff like that with like your teachers and like just peers to like help you like through everything. I just feel like all that has been pretty good, pretty informational. So yeah.
All right, for the second half, fall sports have begun and we are excited to start off the winter season. Girls basketball had an away game on Monday at Pilgrim. Their first home game is on Tuesday. Boys basketball also started its season and we wish both teams the best of luck. Teachers and guidance counselors have been providing extra support to seniors, including finishing recommendation letters while students continue working on portfolios and meeting graduation requirement deadlines. Student council has been working hard to plan fundraisers and activities, and the chorus has been practicing songs performed for the elementary school students. I think that happened today, actually. And then, oh, it's all week. My fault. And then girls basketball raised over $5,000 for the program by selling drinks at Autumn Fest. Many players shared that the experience helped them bring the team closer together and build team unity. Oh my God. Community. Oh my goodness. The girls varsity basketball coach staff includes Coach Ed, who is also a captain in the Woonsocket Police Department, along with Nellie Gray and former Woonsocket High School student Maddie, now an assistant coach, are committed to building strong character and positive values within the program. The coaching staff has also emphasized community involvement with the team practicing in the Toys for Tots fundraiser at St. Joe's Church on Monday, December 8th. Players described the experience as meaningful and ways to give back to the community. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anybody have any questions for our students? Okay. So once again, I think the last item, the high school Christmas concert is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Are either you two singing or playing an instrument?
Sadly, I'll be at work, so I won't be going, but
Sadly, I'm not that talented.
All right, thank you. Motion, do we take a motion on this too?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a motion on receiving?
Does he make a motion for that?
I think,
I don't think so.
he usually does.
Does he?
Usually does, yes.
Yeah, place and file.
Okay, it's not written here, but that's all right. I guess I'll make it up. It's not written here. I'm going off script. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the students' communications. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That's all we got to do. Okay, thank you. Moving on now,
Very
to the
good.
superintendent's report.
Killed it.
Superintendent, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Hey, no
So
problem.
I'll start off as I usually do with personnel matters. So to date, we have 18 paraprofessional positions that need to be filled, that are unfilled. We have 1 custodian position and we have 4 teaching positions. So we're getting closer to 0 and continuing to work hard each day to try to fill every position across the district. My next agenda item is October and November's perfect attendance update. Perfect timing this evening with Globe Park. So I have some data here that I'm going to share with the committee and with the community. I'm going to start with October, and then I'm going to go to November. So I'm going to start in October, and this is each school, and this would be the perfect attendance, the numbers. And I know at the last time I presented September's numbers, there was a question, I think it might have been, Vice Chair, by you,
Mhm.
where someone asked, I gave you the numbers, maybe it was Mrs. Kapiskis, but regardless,
How many?
it was the enrollment.
Yeah.
So I have that for everyone this evening. So I'm going to start with Vernon Heights, the month of October. Perfect attendance. There are 368 students enrolled. 77 students had perfect attendance for the month of October. For the month of November at Vernon Heights, we had 79 students who had perfect attendance, again for November. At Kevin Coleman, 266 students enrolled. For October, 74 had perfect attendance in October, and 70 had perfect attendance in November. At Globe Park, we have 507 students enrolled. October, there were 92 who had perfect attendance. In November, that went up to 105 at Globe Park.
Mhm.
Harris, we have 314 students were enrolled in October. 66 had perfect attendance. In November, Harris had 339 students enrolled, so their enrollment increased, and they had 130 students with perfect attendance for November. Pothier Citizens, pretty large campus, 711 enrolled, 235 students. The month of October had perfect attendance. November attendance, 265 students had perfect attendance. So they improved from October to November. Very, very impressive. At Leo Savoy, 340 students enrolled in October, 131 had perfect attendance. 339 students were enrolled in November, and 195 students had perfect attendance. Hamlet Middle School, the month of October, 519 students enrolled, 113 perfect attendance. The month of November at Hamlet, 522 students were enrolled, 99 students had perfect attendance for November. Villanova Middle School, October, 587 enrolled, 212 with perfect attendance. Month of November, 578 enrolled, 135 with perfect attendance. And finally, Woonsocket High School, Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center, 1,445 students enrolled, 387 perfect attendance in October. And in November, we had 374 students with perfect attendance. So congratulations to all of those students who came to school every day in the months of October and November. I also want to recognize there are many, many students across our district. While they may not have perfect attendance, they certainly have improved attendance. And we are very grateful and appreciative for those students and their families. And continue the good work. I think some really good things are happening here in Woonsocket, in our schools around student attendance, and I'm sure that it's only going to improve. So if anybody has any questions, I would like to try to answer them, and if I don't have an answer, I can find you an answer.
What happened at Villanova?
What happened at Villanova? Well, what happened?
The numbers just went down.
Yeah,
That's all.
they had less students with perfect attendance in November than I don't know. That could be a question that we could ask Mrs. Luca to see if they, as they dig into their data, who knows?
Yeah.
But that's certainly something that we can look at. So,
Anyone else have any questions on that, Dr. McGee? Nope. Okay.
my next agenda, I'm going to take these last two out of order, if it's okay. I'm gonna next go to the Woonsocket athletics update. As the committee and the community are aware, there have been issues across the state, specifically in Smithfield and Newport, at Smithfield High School and Rogers High School in Newport, where there have been some, whether it's hazing, anti-Semitism, and just harassing and bullying and actually physically harming students who are less fortunate. So I thought it was important to have a conversation with the community and with the school department, with the school committee, I should say, around what we here in Woonsocket, specifically what our athletic department does to educate our coaches and our students around hazing and positive behavior. So we have an anti-hazing policy here in Woonsocket. And I had recently reached out to Nancy Giordano, who is our athletic director, to just get some information with respect to what, is being taught to our coaches and our student athletes. And so we have bullying, hazing, and inappropriate behaviors where captains, there's a course for our captains of each of our athletic teams at the high school. There is a bullying and hazing, which is coaches and athletes all take this course together with Miss Patron. Coaches are responsible for scheduling those sessions. Also for the captains, Miss Patron teaches the captains these lessons as well. And So they've been scheduling those, and some of those have already actually occurred. So I just want the committee and the community to know that, here in Woonsocket, we are proactive with our athletic department, led by Ms. Giordano, to educate our student athletes and our coaches so that those types of incidents never happen here in Woonsocket. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that topic. And lastly, climate and security, an update. We continue to have our safety meetings with first we continue to have our subcommittee safety and climate meetings that we hold with our union, as well as our directors and principals and other staff across the district, with, of course, Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Kapiskis. So we continue to have those. We are also continuing to have our school-wide meetings where we discuss safety concerns. Those are going well. I know that Mrs. Crane is here this evening, and she is a part of some of those meetings. And I think that, as the committee is aware, we started these meetings in the spring, and we're continuing to have those this year. And I think that they're very positive meetings, and I think it's a good way for us to communicate and make sure we're all on the same page. So those meetings continue to be successful. Specifically, I know that I sent out in my newsletter to families over the weekend a message regarding vaping across the district, but especially at the secondary level, letting families and the community know that it is illegal for students to vape. At the high school, the administration has been monitoring vaping as well as cell phone use. Committee is well aware, and I think that Mrs. Kapiskis is going to review the cell phone policy, which we discussed at the policy subcommittee meeting yesterday, to notify the community of the slight change to it. But clearly it is it's against it is in our policy. Students are not to have cell phones. And it is a situation now where the administration and other supports are ensuring that that's happening at both the middle schools and the high school. As you are aware, I have been discussing the implementation of Yonder pouches. Mr. Notariani and I have recently had a Zoom meeting with our representative from Yonder. We have purchased the pouches. The pouches are some are in, and more will be coming in so that we can distribute those. We are going to, and I don't want to take away from your report, Mrs. Kapiskis, with respect to the Yonder pouches, but we will be meeting. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with the group that went to Brockton High School to observe their process that they use for the Yonder pouches. And we've been to Calcutt Middle School as well. Tomorrow, that group that went out will be sort of debriefing and look at, what our strategy will be moving forward as we begin to plan for the implementation. The folks from Yonder have been very, very helpful, and they do this. They've done this. They are working in many schools and many districts across the country. So we'll be meeting with them in January. We're looking at a rollout of the Yonder pouches at the end of February. So more information will be coming out to the community, to families. But this is happening. We are going to be implementing this, and we've started the process. So that concludes my my report on climate and safety. I know that Mr. Natariani is going to go into some other safety agenda items as well. I'm not going to get into them. He's going to talk about security cameras and phones and intercoms across the district. So I will save that for his report. And if I need to add anything in, I will certainly do that. So with that, Mr. Vice Chair, that concludes my report.
Anyone have any further questions, the superintendent? Okay, I'll make the motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Very good. We are moving now on to the school subcommittee reports. The first subcommittee report is the CLAC update from Mrs. Kepiscus.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. CLAC last met on November 6th. At that time, we opened the meeting at 6 o'clock. There were no parents present. At 6:15, after discussion as to how we were going to move forward, I ended what we would call a meeting. After discussing whether we should move to meeting every other month, I suggested, out of fairness to all the directors and other staff who are the only ones faithfully attending these meetings other than me, I would prefer to move to quarterly meetings, 4 per year, as that is the bare minimum required to keep the CLAC active as required by the Rhode Island Code of Federal Regulations. As a result, I was going to place on tonight's agenda, but then I took a look at our bylaws, and our bylaws provide for a minimum of 4 meetings a year anyway, so we don't have to vote on amending the bylaws. We are now moving to 4 meetings a year. We've already had 3 this year. No one attended, September, October, November. We will have 2 more for the remainder of the year. We'll be meeting on February 5th, 2026, and our last meeting of the school year on May 7th, 2026. If I'm still the chair, I will tell you what the 4 dates will be for the 2026-2027 school year. But unfortunately, we're not going to continue to meet monthly, forcing the directors and the superintendent to attend a meeting that no parents show up for. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Kepiscus. I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file the CLAC update. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, good. Okay, the next item will be a double feature here. Because of the length of the last school committee meeting, we postponed a few of our subcommittee reports. So we are going to hear tonight the Health and Wellness Subcommittee report of October 27th, 2025, and the December 15th, 2025 subcommittee report of the Health and Wellness Committee by myself and Mrs. Costa. Mrs. Costa is going to take the first October 27th meeting and tell us what happened.
Okay, on October 27th, the Health and Wellness Subcommittee met. Our start time was at 4:09 p.m. We first met with our Chotwells. We were talking about breakfast for our families, and this was like right around the time I believe the food stamps were getting cut. So there was a little bit more of a worry for our families to actually get food. So our students were showing up outside of the breakfast window, and a lot of them weren't able to get breakfast. So we wanted to send notice to families about the importance of on-time attendance. We're gonna, excuse me, I'm sorry, my notes are all over the place. Also, like, talk to students about the time frame that's allotted for breakfast. There's backpacks that also go home at the end of the day. Unfortunately, there's usually 7 items that were being put in those backpacks, and now there's like 3 items being put in those backpacks. I'm sure there might be an update on that for the following committee meeting after this. And then this was like coming back from school, so we had a great turnout. They wanted to see a little bit more participants at the splash pad, considering that was the only one that was open over the summer for a break. We had 71,304 participants, which was 1,045 more. And then we had, for the whole participation of the summer program, we had 137,456 students that we served, which was 1,400 more than last year. And we also had less enrollment this year as well. So that was a great benefit for us. We're still giving out free lunch for all students, so that's great for us. And then the last thing was that they have a discovery kitchen. They're trying a pumpkin soup, and apple grilled cheese. And then there was a taste of India in Hamlet. They had a tikka masala, excuse me if I'm not saying that right. They had an Halloween event at Coleman, and then they had a barbecue back to school event at Globe. And then after that, we had an update from URI Snap Ed. Unfortunately, the URI is defunding. It's ending in spring due to the funds. Unfortunately, they're coming to an end. But the fresh fruit and vegetable program's nutrition education component will still be continued through RIDE. Sorry. Okay, so I think that's what I had for that. Then we had an update from Project Aware, and oh my goodness, I can't even read my own writing. Sorry. So we have SEL screeners from K through 12. They're going to be assessing the readiness. They're going to be screened 2 times this year, by December and then again in May. Introspective look at themselves. This is going to create an introspective look at themselves, so we are having ways to help support our students. And the teachers will only have access to their classes only. And then after that, we had an update from the Woonsocket Prevention Coalition. Okay. They have the, for the Woonsocket Prevention Coalition, they have the above the affluence middle and high school students. Starting on the 16th of November, I believe it was, Tuesdays, from 2:30 to 4:30, and there's 10 students in that program. And then they still do the SWAG program, that's the Student Wellness and Growth. For the high school students, they meet Mondays and Wednesdays for 8 weeks. There's 19 students. They meet from 2:30 to 4:30. And they got 19 students out of 80 applicants. They could only accept the 19 students, but there were 80 applicants for that. Every session that they meet, they have a different topic related to mental health and addiction prevention. It's a great program that the students really show a lot of interest in. And then we had our update from the Rhode Island Healthy School Coalition. We had our breakfast for our school wellness leaders of 2025, which was great. Every year we have that, and it's usually pretty good turnout. Somebody at our table won something. It wasn't any of us, but somebody at our table won, so that was a great thing. But it's always great and informational, great networking strategies too. And then I believe we just talked about like the events that they were going to hold in October. And I think that's all I have for those meetings. We had our next meeting date was December 15th. That's one thing I wanted to say. The SRO Scott at the high school started a food bank, and we'll be sending out notices. That was, again, because of the food stamp stop. And then they had their open house at Korea Technical Center November 6th. Then we adjourned the meeting at 5:02 p.m.
Okay, very good. Very good, Mrs. Costa. Can I just correct 2 things?
Yes.
The number you mentioned, 71,304 meals served, that was breakfast.
That was breakfast.
And it
Okay.
wasn't just the summer program, it was to
In
date,
total. Okay,
the amount of meals to date at the school district.
okay,
And the same thing with the 137,000 meals served, that was lunch, that was to date. And in both instances, you did mention it is over 1,000 meals more than last year at that time,
yes,
which is a good thing that the students are now partaking in
They're
our lunch
participating.
program.
absolutely.
Also, another thing, Ms. Carvello from from Citizens Point here announced that the district received an additional $10,000 grant
Yes.
from Stop and Shop for their food pantry. So that was very good. But thank you, Mrs. Costa.
you,
Good
thank you.
job. Very good. Okay, I'm going to try and follow that. I don't know if I can here by talking about the December 15th meeting, all right, that we had, which was just the other day. And our first item to deal with Chartwell's, and Chartwell's talked about the several tastings that they have been having throughout the district. Mrs. Costa did mention the curry Taste of India that they had at the Hamlet School. They also had a tomato soup tasting. There was a Thanksgiving meal at the high school. There's various tastings that they're planning throughout the district. So that was a good thing. Also, URI SNAP Ed, the SNAP Ed program, unfortunately, was cut by the federal government, by the federal government, and a lot of the individuals will be losing their positions in the spring. But one thing that will remain is the fresh fruit and vegetable program from URI. And luckily, Glow Park, the phys ed teachers at Glow Park are going to do a curriculum based on that program. Now, SNAP Ed used to have a program called Students Take Charge. Well, that program obviously is not available anymore to have individuals come out to the schools like they had over the years in our district. But that program is online, so schools can get the toolkit of that curriculum online and incorporate it into their school. We also heard from Project Aware, and at the time they talked a lot about the guidance given to any student and staff that needed it because of the tragedy at Brown University. There's also going to be in the Woonsocket Prevention Coalition, the programs that Mrs. Costa mentioned ended in December, and new ones will start up in January and in February. The SWAG program and other programs at the high school and middle school. And finally, Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition talked again about some of the programs that are online, that they do provide the toolkit from a USDA grant to look at the Student Take Charge program. Also, there's going to be a special program if anyone wants to take availability of it for middle school students to go to Johnson and Wales. And also, the Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition continues to support the Recess Rocks program that we have in all our schools in the district, all our elementary schools in the district. And I think that covers the last Health and Wellness Subcommittee meeting. I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file the Health and Wellness Subcommittee meeting of October 27th and December 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that takes care of that. Now we'll have this curriculum subcommittee report by Mrs. Kapiskis. And I think there was only one of that subcommittee that met since the last time.
That is correct. And you're not going to listen to me the whole time. Congratulations. Our last curriculum subcommittee meeting happened on November 10th. And we were basically going over the state assessment results, an overview with Dr. Holt and Mr. Rizzo. And I had asked Dr. Holt to do the presentation for us. She's not well tonight, so Mr. Rizzo is going to pinch hit as to that assessment review. And I know that we were all provided with a copy of the slide deck for our last meeting when I wasn't able to give these notes. You could always refer back to that if you need to. But Mr. Rizzo, if you wouldn't mind.
Certainly. In front of you this evening, as previously mentioned, you have both the slide deck from the subcommittee meeting, which details an extensive amount of information to include individual scores for schools. But from a broad perspective, I've provided a one-pager data analysis sheet of the overview from the district perspective, so you can see both the growth and their lack of, if noted. To begin with, let's talk about our district proficiency in ELA. These scores are based on a combination of data points, RICAS, the SAT, and the DLM. That is a combination of 2 years from the 2023-24 school year and the 24-25 school year. In ELA, in 2025, or as recently reported, is now 12.3%. That is a difference of an increase of 1.4% over the previous year. In math, it is 9.6%, and it also is an increase of 0.5%. For science, we are at 14.3%. That is an increase of 0.5%. Our attendance was at 41.6%, with a decrease of 2.5%, which is a positive indicator because we want our rate of chronically absent students to be reducing and not increasing. So even though it is a negative number in this category, that's a positive. Our graduation rate is at 61.8%. Unfortunately, that is a reduction of 4.5%. Our post-secondary enrollment is at 52.2%. That is a nice increase of 17.7%. Our WIDA access scores for our MLL students are now at the entering level, 30.8%, the emerging level, 24.8%, the developing level, 37%, the expanding and reaching at 33.4%. The DLM, which is the dynamic learning map, in ELA, it was 14.8. In math, 13%. And in science, 4.3. The bottom is the RIDE report card ratings. As many of us know, RIDE determines the rating of a school and provides a number of stars to identify that school's performance. And as indicated, we have two star schools. That's Vernon and Savoy. The remainder of our schools are at a 1-star component, with 4 of our schools identified as comprehensive support and intervention. Those schools are Harris, Coleman, Pothier Citizens, and Hamlet. For a more detailed look at the information contained in this one-page overview, I suggest that we refer to the more detailed document that was presented at the curriculum subcommittee, which gives individual scores for each school.
Anyone have any questions or any further discussion?
There was just one other thing that I wanted to mention that we discussed. Every agenda, we have a line item for instructional empowerment and the model of instruction. And Dr. Holt and her MOI crew advised of a recent honor that was bestowed on the WED by IE, which I wanted to give her the pleasure of sharing with you all, so I don't have her written down. I don't know if that's something you're prepared to address, Mr. Rizzo?
I would have to defer to Ms. Agia. Do you have information regarding that, Rania? I do not, and I don't want to overstep.
Okay.
We
I
apologize.
can't remember either, but I want to think it has something to do with presenting.
That's the Nashville, I think,
Yeah.
right? I think so. I think that's what
I
she
think
was
so too.
referring
I
to.
didn't
So
want to take it away from her.
yeah, I'll take it away.
Okay. I do apologize.
So Dr. Holt and myself in February are going to be presenting at a national conference about the work that we're doing here in the district around specifically the model of instruction with IE. So it's quite the accomplishment, and I just I like to say I just drive the car your way. I'm the getaway car. There are other people here that do some amazing work, Dr. Holt, and so yeah. So I'm along for the ride, but it is a great accomplishment, and it's a great award, and that really is a testament to the hard work of a lot of people here in the district. So yes, and I'm sure we'll as we get a little closer to that time, we'll talk a little bit more about what exactly we're going to be presenting. But it is certainly an honor, a national honor.
Thank you. And with that, my report is concluded.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kapiskis. I do have one question, Mr. Rizzo, if that's okay.
Certainly.
It's just for information, so the public would hear this, the community would hear this. The star ratings from RIDE, obviously 1 star is the lowest. The highest number is,
The highest rating a school that can receive for a star report card is a rating of 5 stars.
number 5, okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you. So that we can understand the star ratings a little bit better. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file the curriculum subcommittee report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Excellent. Moving on now to the district-wide school climate subcommittee report. Mr. Leclerc and Ms. Kapiskis.
All right. Meeting was held on 11/25, November 25th at 4 p.m. We approved the minutes from the previous meeting. We discussed about a name change to student safety and behavioral health subcommittee to align with state guidelines, and that's on our agenda tonight. So we'll go there when that time comes. There's also concerns with intercoms and phones, but that they're being installed now. But Mr. Nordiani is going to address that in his facilities update, so he can discuss that. Also, Director of Special Education, Dawn Morrell, talked at length about a focus group she has been utilizing to involve all aspects of the WED personnel and their expertise to gain great insight into issues affecting elementary students and the student body as a whole. I think she'll be discussing that up with her update also tonight, so she can handle that. And then the SRO update, Alice training is continuing along at all schools with no issues. And we had our next meeting date set for January 13th.
Anybody have any questions or concerns to address? Nope. Very good. Then I shall make a motion to receive and place on file the district-wide school climate subcommittee report named for the last time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Second.
Yeah. Second.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Come on now. Make me look good here. Let's go.
Fine.
We got you, Don. We got you. You're doing a great job. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Moving on now to the policy subcommittee reports. And once again, this is another dual agenda item because we had a policy subcommittee report from November 15th, 2025. And we just had a policy subcommittee meet yesterday, 12/16/2025. So Ms. Kapiskis and myself, or the members here, I've been working all night. So Ms. Kapiskis, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Thank
Working
you.
hard, too.
With regard to our November policy subcommittee meeting, we discussed first the attendance policy, and as a companion piece to that, a retention policy, because we felt it was important. If you were going to have an attendance policy, you needed to have a retention policy. Why we needed to have this is RIDE shift with regard to chronic absenteeism, and it to be considered a factor in whether or not a student would be retained, meaning held back, which is what we used to call it when I was a kid, not progressing to the next grade. With regard to the attendance policy, it had been previously discussed at our last policy subcommittee meeting before the November one. And based on the fact that there were no additional changes recommended, that attendance policy was moved forward to the full school committee for discussion and vote. We were supposed to be doing that at our last meeting. It didn't happen, so it's on tonight's agenda. Then we moved on to the retention policy. It was produced in draft form, and a procedure for retention was discussed in some detail, in particular how it relates to the attendance policy and RIDE's guidance about considering chronic absenteeism as a factor in retention decisions, in terms of how those absences are impacting potential academic growth and achievement. The concern that this consideration of absences as a factor in retention decisions could result in a significant increase in students retained. This could cause a financial and staffing drain on the districts as a whole. There was also a discussion around how the policy would be applied school to school, that as all administrators must apply the same standard in making retention decisions, or we may see families try to school shop for a school with a more lenient application of the retention policy. Major emphasis in the guidance from RIDE is that our policy must build an early warning system which provides notice to families of the possibility of retention and how that possibility is affected by chronic absences, so that no parent would be caught surprised when advised that their child was being considered for retention when it was too late for them to take some action to right the ship, so to speak. That notice must be given in as many ways as possible: letter, electronic communications, note on report card, phone call, parent meeting, any and all of the above. However, the RIDE guidance does not prioritize the type or manner in which the notice is given. Retention decisions will still be based largely on academic performance. The question is what that academic performance will be considered. Is it simply RICAS scores, which RIDE seems to indicate, knowing that RICAS scores are at least a year behind? Other assessments, grades in school, but absences are considered as they often result in decreasing academic performance and growth. You need to be in the seat each and every day to learn, as education is progressive, and that each step builds on the prior step and introduces concepts relevant to the next step. One specific change to the draft policy that was discussed was the use of the word quarters as important markers in the early warning system for families about absences affecting promotion and retention decisions, and that not all our schools run on quarters, some run on trimesters. Although the RIDE guidance suggests the use of quarters, our policy would be amended to reflect marking periods. RIDE's guidance also mandates a support team to help guide the process, but we will instead leave that responsibility to the MTSS teams, which are already in place and making a lot of these decisions. Our policy also makes it clear that the final decision rests with the district and not with the families, contrary to what many present believe to be the case. The shift is based upon the guidance language, which provides a process by which a family can appeal a retention decision, a process which would not be necessary if families had the final say in retention decisions. The reference to ILPs, or individual learning plans, referenced in the policy would be reworked to reflect that only students in grades 6 through 12 have ILPs in the WED. No students at the elementary school level have them. Another question that was raised: do we now need a promotion policy, which we currently do not have, to create uniformity in promotion decisions across the district, particularly at the elementary school level? No decision was made on whether or not this would be added to the subcommittee's present to-do list, but it will be reflected there. The decision of the subcommittee was the draft retention policy would be held by the subcommittee for further discussion, and the question of our promotion policy would be added to our to-do list. The WACTC admission policy was held because the director was unavailable for a November meeting, and that was placed on our next agenda, and I'll get to that next. Our cell phone policy we discussed. We began with a preliminary discussion of what our cell phone policy will look like. Dr. McGee advised all that a team from the WED would be meeting with a team at Brockton High School, as they are also an urban high school with a much larger number of students that appears to have a successful policy. They will likely also reach out to Central Falls, although word has it that they are a little less successful with their policy than Brockton. However, the discussion may help us anticipate problems that they have experienced so we can try to address those problems in advance. The plan is to roll out this policy slowly so it can be successful. It may not be rolled out until next fall. There's been an update to that. All are reminded that the cell phone pouches will only be used at the secondary level at this time, but cell phones will still remain banned at the elementary school level. Among the topics to discuss in ironing out a final policy: will the cell phones be placed in the pouches from bell to bell? Will they be permitted to use their phones during lunch, during passing times? Will smartwatches also be placed in the pouches? How about headphones? Do the pouches block signals so phones can't communicate with smartwatches or headphones? Were there any exceptions to the pouch use? One example discussed was the use of students who use their cell phone to monitor glucometers or CGMs. Another exception might be for control of hearing aids and the like. It was indicated that that could be addressed in students' IEPs and 504 accommodation plans. And as it turns out, there are pouches that are appropriate for those types of uses. There is concern that some parents are already raising issues at IEP meetings that students with anxiety need access to their cell phones for music or videos, which they may find calming. To date, these parents were advised that this is not an exception to the cell phone policy, as all those can be accessed if necessary through student Chromebooks. There also needs to be violations and consequences set up. Will the consequences be cumulative? Will staff be bound by any cell phone policy we enact as they're not exempt under the current policy? Will students have consequences for damaged pouches? Will pouches go home with the students, or will they be surrendered at the end of each school day and reissued with each successive school day? The decision was made that the cell phone policy will remain on our agenda for the foreseeable future, with no draft policy being put in place at that meeting. The next meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, December 16th, which was yesterday. And I have an update. The retention policy edits were made in accordance with the prior discussion. Word support team was replaced with MTSS team. Issues around the language focused on certain grades, mainly near transitions. There was some language that referred to, particularly looking at students in grades 4 through 5 and 7 through 8. There's going to be reworked to make it a little clearer that this policy applies to all grades, not just those grades. There was a discussion of what assessments would be used, whether students, in deciding whether or not students would be retained, because there are grades in which students don't take the RICAS. For example, certain grades in the elementary level, and at the high school, they take the SATs. They're going to review the language from other districts to try to clarify the policy. And especially in connection with the meeting that Dr. McGee attended, where the commissioner was present when she spoke about these issues. The factors, Ms. Dorizo indicated she believes the factors should include STAR scores, literacy and math benchmarks, behavior, SEL, and other criteria that are used by the MTSS team. Dr. McGee would like additional clarifying language included in the policy. The language will be clarified that the retention decision lies with the MTSS team at the school level, although the decision would be reported to the Director of Literacy in Title I. After questions arose, it was clarified that parents or guardians are entitled and invited to attend every MTSS meeting as they happen through the year. So therefore, the retention determination meeting would be no different. Whether or not they choose to attend is up to them. As the Director of SEL, Kyle Quadros, was not present, the policy was tabled pending his attendance at our next meeting, so that we can discuss how SEL impacts this. WACTC admission policy, a draft was prepared by the director of the WACTC. As there has been no policy to date, issues have arisen regarding admission dates as well as students seeking to change their program after admission and or commencement of their respective programs, and therefore it's timely to present a policy. Council said there are some legal edits that she made, but no substantive changes. All references to the director's email by name would be amended to go to simply director, and then would push to her through our system. References to statewide transportation and zone district numbers will be removed as RIDE is reviewing this system with an eye towards reducing costs. At present, we only provide bus transportation to students in our zone. Students coming from other zones must find their own transportation, and that's why that's significant. There was a significant discussion about the dates for admission to specific programs, with any toward clarifying all the program decisions must be made by 10th grade with a firm cutoff date for changes between programs. This is justified in that the first semester of the program is focused on exploration of the various programs offered so that students can be exposed to all the offerings before making a final decision. How and when students will be permitted to change programs will be handled via protocols, which do not require school committee approval to change, versus a policy, which does require school committee approval to change. Council recommends the policy be stripped down to bare bones with these details ironed out in the protocols for this very reason, to avoid the need for school committee approval to any changes. On a motion by Dr. McGee, seconded by Mr. Notariani, the matter is before us tonight for first passage on this policy, with the policy forwarded to us prior to the meeting. Return to the cell phone policy, the never-ending discussion. A long discussion was held on the observations of the cell phone sub-team who went to Brockton High School and Central Falls Middle School, both of which used Yonder pouches. Under pouch. It was agreed that Brockton's system ran like a well-oiled machine, whereas the process at Central Falls was a bit rockier. I will leave the details of that review to Dr. McGee's report to you, but in the preferred process, students are assigned pouches that they use and will be responsible for the entire school year. Student IDs are required and are linked to the pouch use. Students are charged $40 for a lost or a broken pouch. If that fee is not paid, there are consequences. For example, they withhold graduation tickets until that fee is paid. There also needs to be specific consequences for violations of the policy. There is no specific policy for staff in Brockton, but staff are encouraged to model compliant behavior by using cell phones only in non-student areas. Yonder will be working with us during the period leading up to rollout, through rollout, and troubleshooting after rollout. Brockton confirmed that their support was extremely helpful to them. Dr. McGee intends to implement the policy in the next semester. The administration team is currently engaged in sweeps at the Woonsocket High School to enforce the current cell phone policy ban. We do have a current policy that bans the use of cell phones in all of our buildings at all levels. And that does include staff. In reviewing the policies in place at four districts that were presented to us, Dr. McGee indicated that his preference is that our policy would be a hybrid of the policies in existence at Bristol, Warren, and South Kingstown. On my motion, seconded by Mr. Rizzo, while we will iron out the details of our new policy in light of the introduction of the Yonder pouches, we will amend our existing policy, which bans cell phones and other electronic devices, absent permission from an administrator or educator. The amendment we're making is to remove the words "or educator," to remove any ambiguity with regard to the enforcement of the current policy pending the Yonder rollout. That means only administrators will be able to authorize the use of cell phones in our buildings. This will be on our agenda for our meeting on January 14th when we the further discussion of the cell phone policy will be on our January 14th, 2026 meeting agenda. We hope to have a rough draft of that very amended policy to include the Yonder rollout in our next policy subcommittee meeting, so that it will be ready for our next second school committee meeting in January. We will also be adding to that agenda an update to the homeless policy as required by an anticipated federal audit under McKinney-Vento Act in 2026. The next policy subcommittee meeting will be on January 20th at 4 p.m. in Hamlet. And that will probably be a heavy one on the school cell phone policy. Those meetings are open to the public, but I want to make sure that it's clear to everyone that only members are allowed to comment during meetings. There is no public comment. There is no good and welfare portion. That only occurs at school committee meetings, and I anticipate there'll be a lot of pushback on that cell phone policy.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kabiscus. As you can see, policy is probably one of the hardest working subcommittees here. And I'm a member. Okay. Very good. I would like to now make a motion to receive and place on file the two policy subcommittee reports of November 15th, 2025 and December 16th of 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All those in favor by signifying, saying aye. Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. All right, moving on now. We have one more subcommittee report. This is the Finance Subcommittee report. Mr. Bourget and Mr. Leclerc, and unless Mr. Bourget sent something in to talk about it, Mr. Leclerc, it's up to you.
I can take this one.
Terry, handle that.
There was no subcommittee meeting yet. The subcommittee meeting is going to be in January. So not sure how that made it on the agenda. There's nothing for the finance subcommittee to report, but I can report the finance subcommittee will be meeting in January.
You pulled a fast one on me here.
I didn't pull anything on you there, Mr. Vice Chairman. No, not a thing.
Okay, very good. So nothing to vote on, nothing to signify by saying aye. We will move on now to our conferences and discussions. But we will hear a report from the special ed update from Ms. Morel.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Welcome.
In front of you, first I'm going to review the enrollment numbers. It's the snapshot from December 10th, 2025. Right now, we have a total number of 1,390 students receiving special education services within our schools from pre-K to grade 12. This represents 27.51% of our total enrollment population, which is approximately 5,053 students. Right now, we have 24 students in our TransPro classroom. That is our 18 to 22-year-olds, and they're transitioning out into the community. And we have 117 students in our out-of-district placements, with out of the 117, only 115 have IEPs. The other two could be in the process of receiving services. With that stated, any questions on the enrollment numbers?
No.
Next, I'd like to cover a couple of things. We have been working very hard with the union. Mrs. Robin Crane and I have been meeting with all of the special education staff at the elementary level and our OTs and speech pathologists throughout the levels, and social workers and psychologists. We've met with all of our self-contained teachers and our resource teachers, and Mrs. Kapiska sat in on a couple of the meetings that we've had. We're having collaborative conversations about the support services and the continuum that we have at our elementary level, kind of looking at some different options that we could possibly put in place either next school year, or if there's anything that we could put in place currently. A couple things came out, like professional developments that staff are looking for, as well as how we do placements for next school year. In the past, I've sat one-on-one with school teams to talk about the classroom dynamics and makeups. Last year, I did it through email. I will be going back this year with meeting with the teams in person. So those are a couple things that I can change immediately. Over the Christmas break, we will be sitting down and reviewing all of the information and calibrating it into information that is similar, outliers, just kind of typing everything up. And then in January, I would like to hold a meeting with staff members at 2 to 3 staff members from each elementary school with the union, a parent representation, as well as school committee representation, to take a look at the information that we received throughout all the schools. This information hopefully will help us look at different models and how to help support some of our most neediest students going forward. The next thing I wanted to kind of touch base about is our pre-K to K transition. This was something that Beth Campanelli and Heather Martley have been working very hard with throughout last school year and this school year. They've put together a very comprehensive transition program for our staff members to help our youngest students transition from our pre-K programs to kindergarten. We've done they've completed joint PDs with pre-K students, pre-K teachers, K teachers, as well as teachers from Head Start. They have a 3 PD series. The first the first PD has already gone by. There are 35 attendees. The next one is in February and in April. I will send the school committee out the information from all the pre-K to K transition information because there's been a lot of work that has been done over the last 2 years to make that a better transition. And that is what I have. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions? Ms.
Can I just
Kapiskis?
make a
Go
comment?
ahead.
Having attended a couple of the focus groups that she spoke about, some of the issues that I heard particularly discussed, and we've heard them here as well, is that students, the concern that many of the students are entering kindergarten, they feel ill-prepared for kindergarten. And unfortunately, a lot of what they're ill-prepared for is not something we can teach. It's children don't know how to play, children don't know how to toilet, children don't know how to feed themselves, things you would expect. They're coming into our schools with those skills and they're not. So that's a big part of the problem. And it's a matter of trying to figure out where the appropriate placement is when you have some students that can come in and read and know their letters and know their numbers, and some that are still in diapers. So that's a huge spread in figuring out where you're going to place these kids. So that's a big part of the discussion. And I just want to make sure that people are aware of that when we talk about the difficulties in trying to find the appropriate placements for these kids. That's the kind of differences we're talking about. You expect maybe kids in preschool not being able to toilet themselves. I know my kids were required to toilet themselves before they could go to preschool. We can't demand that in a public school. They meet the age requirement, they come in. But in kindergarten, kids who are not toilet trained, parents, guardians, families, do better. I'm sorry. Make sure your kids come into school prepared to learn, and you can't be prepared to learn if you don't know how to do these basic skills. If we have kids that are outliers that may never toilet themselves, there are certainly children in our district that are like that, but address this problem at least. And kids don't know how to sit and listen. Kids don't know their numbers, don't know their letters. And I know we demand way too much of them curriculum-wise in kindergarten, but that's not a choice we made. It's a choice that's put upon us as a district. So that's part of the problem, is figuring out these appropriate placements. And that's why they're trying to strengthen that program, the transition program, so the kids are getting sorted out into appropriate placements at the beginning.
Exactly what you say underscores the demands placed on the kindergarten teachers besides teaching ABCs and 1, 2, 3. So hopefully they can find a way to deal with it. And I applaud the efforts that you're making to try and do that. So very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment? So I'd like to make a motion to receive and place on file the special education update. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Ms. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, moving on now to our facilities technology update with Mr. Notarani.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. So this evening, starting out with my update, we're going to talk about school safety first and then kind of work backwards from what a normal protocol is. So first item is we continue to meet weekly with the SROs and Detective Sergeant Kamer. Some of the topics of conversation and more recently action items have included our emergency plan review. So we review it periodically to see if there's any improvements. I'd be remiss, Dr. McGee also attends the weekly meetings. I apologize, Dr. McGee. So we talked about that. We've talked about the electronic devices policy enforcement. So I think the administration has heard loud and clear that the staff at the high school needs some additional support in feeling safe. We have met with the administration there, and our SROs and the additional detail officers are partnering up with specific staff in the building, assisting with monitoring the hallways. And most recently, starting this week, myself included, on Monday, Tuesday, and this morning, we would move out into the hallways with SROs, either an assistant principal or a dean, and any students that are late in the halls. So if you were attending class when the bell rings, if you were in the hall, you don't have a pass, you have your cell phone out on Monday and Tuesday. If you had your cell phone out, you were escorted to the main office. Your cell phone, you were asked to put your cell phone in an envelope. And if you refused to do so, your parent was called and they had to come in. Today, we discovered on Monday and Tuesday that oftentimes when students were approaching in the hallway and you'd say, please stop, do you have a pass? We had a couple students that tried to leave the building. So today we had additional police officers at the building monitoring the exits, and we did have what the high school administration calls a hallway sweep. And any students that were late to class were brought to the cafeteria, and the administration then proceeded with the discipline process, whatever that might be. I think it's a first warning. We did have several cell phones that were put into envelopes. We did have a discussion with the students explaining that we have a policy on the books right now that said cell phones are not allowed. I would also note for everyone here this evening that message went out through the community newsletter from the superintendent's office. A message from the high school principal was sent out. We included messaging on cell phones and vaping on the school televisions that are in throughout many of the hallways at the high school and the Career Tech Center. And it is a policy which our students are required, to know what, along with parents and faculty and staff. So our focus has been on the electronics device policy, supporting the high school administration to make sure that we've got compliance there. Along with that, students that are identified as being vaping on school grounds, that will be enforced now as well. There's been some leniency, but the police have informed us that that's something that they are going to focus on while they're in our buildings, because it is both a health issue, but it's also against the law. In addition to that, we are discussing ALICE training. So just to note, we provide training at the secondary level with all students. At the elementary level, ALICE training, we provide a book, and the training is more in the classroom. It's not more, it's classroom-based. The teachers discuss with students. We don't pull the students out and do any type of drills or anything of that nature in terms of any type of scenarios. We are in the process of labeling hallways with the new cameras, because the police, when they want to be able to look into the camera system during an emergency, they want to be able to identify what hallway they're looking at. So students and faculty and staff at the high school and shortly here at the middle schools will see that our hallways will be color-coded, blue hallway, red hallway, which is in addition to some of the other security features that we've implemented. Also, signage at our buildings and parking lots will be going up shortly. Signage in the buildings, video surveillance in progress, no smoking or vaping. Those will be going up in all of our schools. And then we'll be putting signage up in our parking lots to designate this is staff, faculty parking. At the high school, there is student parking. We identify it as student parking. We've also informed students that if you drive to school, you need to register your vehicle. Faculty and staff already register their vehicles there's a lanyard that hangs from the mirror. But those are also things that we're going to improve upon the enforcement. If you don't have a car registered, your car could be towed from the lot. And parking at the lot for students is a privilege. Faculty and staff, like I said, they have their own parking spaces. We continue to monitor school traffic flow. We've kind of moved on from the high school. I think we will probably revisit that in the spring to see how things are going. We're going to focus here at the middle schools. We're working with the traffic division to see what's best in terms of our entrances and exits here, along with both of your citizens and all of our school buildings, but there's a certain order we're going in. So next item is communications platform, which is our telephones, clocks, intercom, and bells. At the high school and the Career Tech Center, as committee's aware, we've purchased a new system for all the buildings that are going to remain open after the conclusion of the construction of New City Elementary School. Many of the buildings that are going to remain open have issues with the phones and the clocks and the intercom. So at our high school, I'm happy to report that when staff return from the winter break, they will have working internal phones, meaning that if you are in the classroom and you want to call the main office, or if you're in the main office, you want to call the classroom, the new phones now work. We're about 95% as of tonight. I'm told between now and when we return from break, that remaining 5% will be worked out, which are just fixing wiring or locating a phone appropriately in the classroom. But I'm happy to report that our phones, internal phone system will work versus the system now that's broken. In addition to that, clocks have been installed in all of the classrooms as well, because that was also a concern. There were no working clocks. At the high school, the intercom and bell system, and you're going to hear this at many of the schools, is something that's going to happen a little further into the school year. It's a little more intensive. They have to fix additional wiring, and they can't do anything with those systems while school's in progress. It'd be too disruptive. So they're working on those things either on weekends, evenings, or school breaks. But moving on from that, Hamlet and Villanova, we're in process right now of installing clocks and phones. If you walk through this building or the building next door, you will see that some of the phones and clocks are already in the classrooms. They're not up and running. We're just installing the hardware. After that, we will proceed to Savoy, Pothier Citizens, and Harris in no particular order. I'm going to hope to do Pothier Citizens next. I promised the faculty and staff that we would, but it really depends on how the installation's going. And then moving on from the security camera review, the High School Career Center already have cameras on the campus. They're an existing system. We've added on to that system. And and thank you this evening for approving it on the consent agenda, but we will be installing or replacing rather cameras in this building and the building next door. Those are internal and external cameras, which will all be part of one central master camera system where you can access it from anywhere within the district. We've also, working with our attorney, have created an MOU with the police, and during emergencies and emergencies only, dispatch can get in there during a crisis situation. They'll be able to access the cameras remotely. There's a protocol in place, and it's outlined in how that works under our MOA and FERPA. Installation for cameras at Savoy will happen in February, and at Pothier Elementary School in April. Citizens, Globe, Vernon, and Coleman have existing camera systems that will continue to operate as they are right now. And it's worth noting that while we did hire a company for the phone system, in order to expedite these two projects, both our technology and facilities department staff are contributing to the installation to keep things moving along for the phones and the clocks and the intercom. And then the camera system, we never had a contractor or a company doing that. That's an internal project that we're doing to save money because we don't have the money to outsource it to a company. Communication safety management platforms, just to review quickly, the School Messenger is the district communications platform. This platform allows our building administrators the ability to send out robocalls, text messages, emails, and post to their social media platforms. This system will be the means for communicating during both regular and emergency situations. As many of you probably are aware, we send out weekly updates from each building. Dr. McGee uses the system as well. Incident IQ is the district's facilities event management platform, which allows district and building administrators to know those organization events that are occurring in a buildings at any given time. The reason I'm noting that this evening is because, as I'm sure everyone's aware of the most recent tragic event at Brown University, you may have picked up on the fact that they were not able to easily identify who or what was going on in the building at the time. So that there was a very pointed question, what was going on, what class was going on, who was there, and the university, I'm not sure to this day if they can or not, could not identify what was going on there. I just want to make sure everyone's aware. Here in Woonsocket, both central admin and our building principals and secretaries, facilities, or even the police we could give access to, they should be able to identify at any point in time events going on in any school building, after school hours. Obviously during school hours, we know what's going on because it's instruction in Skyward. But evening events, weekend events, anything like that, we have the ability to see that. There is a system. It's in use. We do refresher training. We'll be doing a refresher training with our principals in January to make sure that that is real-time info. In case something were to occur, we could pull up the system and say, there's a group of individuals, there's an organization in the gym or in the cafeteria or in this classroom. So we do have that ability. Moving on from there, for the technology update, as of today, there are 65 technology work orders in the system, 49 related to technology infrastructure, 19 related to data systems and state reporting. This month, our data and state reporting team is working on the graduation cohort review for 2021-2022. This is the process by which the high school is given an opportunity to review and revise any data that may be erroneous or update anything that may have information that may have come in after the fact in terms of what feeds into the graduation rate. So my colleague, Mr. Rizzo, indicated earlier during a curriculum subcommittee meeting, the graduation rate. Our graduation rate might be slightly higher than that. And this is the opportunity to revise that information through the data upload process. And we are working with the high school administration to make sure that our data being reported to Skyward and ultimately to the state is as accurate as possible. And I think that's an area that we can always improve upon. Attendance data review is going on. It's currently going on. I know attendance has been a hot topic here in Woonsocket and across the state. We are doing a review of our processes to make sure that we're capturing accurate attendance data and reporting that to RIDE. We are aware of one situation where there was some incorrect info being imported, and we're working to quickly fix that, I believe, at the high school level. And the last piece that we're reviewing is the alternative learning GED process here in the district. We're working on that because students that may exit our high school and enroll in an alternative learning program where they have to meet with the superintendent and they sign out of school and there's paperwork, we want to make sure that we're accurately capturing that data as well, because if it's not accurately captured, that student, instead of being recorded as a student participating in a GED program, they're now reported as a dropout at our high school, which affects the graduation rate. So that's a process we're currently reviewing, and it's an important one, as that's all part of the accountability system with RIDE. Power School, we're currently in the process of converting to Power School, and our target go-live date of July 1st is still accurate. There are no issues that I foresee right now that would hold that up. Student registration for the upcoming school year will begin on March 1st. Additional information will be shared in January. Facilities custodial services, there are currently 116 work orders in the system, which reflects work orders across all 12 buildings regarding heat, water, electricity, fixing of furniture, you name it, it's encompassed there. HVAC heating controls, Next Gen Mechanical continues to work on the HVAC units at the middle school campus. They have had great success over the last couple of months working directly with the staff. They're going into classrooms, checking with the staff, so there are no miscommunications about the system works. However, I'm not sure how that relates to why it's so cold here this evening. And I've sent an email out while we're all sitting here, because if I'm cold, I can confirm everyone else is, because I usually don't get cold.
You see Lynn's daughter?
I'm not turning around. Quite frankly, I'm doing the best I can not to get my own jacket right now, which would be a clear signal. And I've already sent an email to our facilities and tech staff to work as a team to figure out why this is happening. I apologize. So the lighting system, which has been a concern at the middle schools. So the committee may recall that we undertook several high efficiency lighting projects here in the district. All of them, with the exception of this building, have been successful, and they cannot figure out why. But I'm happy to report the Rhode Island Office of Energy has sent out a contractor to review the lighting concerns at the two middle schools. All issues at Villa have been addressed, and they're now working through the issues here at Hamlet. I'm happy to report we've been working cooperatively with Mrs. Murphy, the Teachers Guild president or vice president for middle schools, and we've been working through the issues. We're hoping to have the program and all of this stuff resolved in the very near future. So there's some defects in the equipment. I can report the equipment installed in the middle of the project. The manufacturer went out of business.
So does every other heating unit in our other buildings work besides this one?
No,
right.
no, they don't work at the high school either.
Maybe it was a
We have
building
no-
issue.
We have no control
Haunted.
over the heating at the high school either, Mr. Leclerc, but
right.
that has been noted in a prior update. We're still waiting for money for that. Also worth noting, we currently have, and we're in the process of reviewing the indoor air quality plan. That's something each district's required to do. We're required to have a plan on file with RIDE and the Department of Health. Our plan is slated for updating. We are fortunate as that we are partners in the Healthy Environments Advanced Learning Initiative through the Rhode Island Department of Ed School Building Authority, and our updated plan should be released during the summer of 2026. Again, that's a requirement that all districts have on file. Lastly, transportation. We continue to meet weekly with Durham School Services. At this time, we have a full complement of drivers and buses. However, Durham continues to face challenges with arrival and departure times. No surprise there. As previously noted, traffic patterns in both the middle school and high school campuses remain a concern, as delays directly impact the elementary transportation tier in the afternoons. And lastly, starting in January 2026, we will be engaging in the phase 2 of the TransPAR study as it relates to transportation recommendations for the district, as we anticipate opening the Nasuti Elementary School in 26-27. Dr. McGee has formed a advisory committee to inform the TransPAR study as to what our district policies are. And I think our goal is to see when we adjust start and end times of school down the road, a couple of years out. We're also going to study and look at the mileage in terms of what you qualify for transportation. And I think that also speaks to, and we've talked about it internally to the administration, our attendance. So the larger the qualification area, whatever TransPAR can come up with in terms of redesigning routes, the larger the qualification area, in theory, our attendance rates should go up because more students can ride the bus. And just also in response to that, I just want the committee to be aware, we have no set exact temperature, but on some of these exceptionally cold days, please know that the district informs the bus company that students that might be walking to school along the bus routes, if there's room on the bus, we let them on during the cold weather. We don't want to see any students. We have a high need population here. Some students don't have jackets, and we do get them on the bus so that they are arriving in a warm bus to get to school. And we can certainly look at the suggestion that came out of the open mic session earlier about maybe some heaters or something. So, and Mr. Vice Chairman, that concludes my report.
Unbelievable. Wow. There's a lot there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I probably picked the wrong meeting.
That was very good, though.
My
It was
apologies.
almost as bad as me.
Almost.
But well worth it, well worth it. So
Thank
now
you,
that
Vice
we've-
Chairman. Thank you for that. I
Very
appreciate
good.
that.
Just fix the heat. So now that we've now that we've received the facilities and technology update, I am now going to make a motion to receive and place on file such report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr.
Me?
Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Fiscal update now by Mr. Perrier. Now, this is a real one. This isn't a fake one now, right?
This is a real one. My colleague just expressed all the items that we have to take care of, and now I'm going to express to you why we can't afford to do any of that.
Okay.
Okay. So,
All right.
well, there's my update in a nutshell. In front of the school committee this evening is the November 2025 fiscal update. On the financial side, well, let me start with the bottom line here. We're currently projecting a $57,000 surplus as of June 30th. This is, again, very early in the year. It is a look forward, so we're going to keep an eye on all of these items as we continue to move through the year. On the revenue side, 4% increase asked for from the city of Woonsocket for FY26 was only funded at $150,000. This led to a decrease in budgeted local revenues of $519,000. 3% increase to the student success factor, which is a component of the state funding formula, was not approved by the General Assembly in June. This led to a decrease in budgeted state revenues of $1.469 million. Luckily, Medicaid revenue is projected to be over budget by about $1.185 million. This makes our overall revenue and the general fund projected to be short $865,000. That's over what we budgeted. So on the expenditure side, all regular salaries are $1.736 million under budget at this time. And when netted with the employee turnover allowance of $1.350 million, this will put overall salaries $368,000 under budget. Medical expenses are currently $2.837 million under budget at this time. It is far too early in the year to assume this projection will hold the entire fiscal year. The expense will continue to be monitored going forward. As a reminder to the school committee, the district does have approximately $1 million on OPEB funding, as well as $2 million of medical pool account for potential medical overruns. We're going to be discussing those items at our next finance subcommittee meeting in January. Overages and purchase services are due to being unable to fill some budgeted salary positions. Finance office has adjusted salary encumbrances down to offset the hiring of these purchase services. Personal care attendants have been difficult to fill this year, leading to overages of $1.4 million on that line item. Transportation is currently $350,000 over budget. This time, the district still has not received our first bill for district transportation from the state for the month of September. So the purchase order we have on file of $4.637 million is still an unknown commodity at this point. Once we get that September bill and that October bill, we'll have a better idea if that purchase order is sufficient to get us through the end of the year. And I will update the committee as we get that information. And as a reminder, there was a conversation to adjusting state bus routes to save district money at the state level. The legislation did not act on that, however, so we are stuck with the same traditional format we have used for state funding. Hopefully, the legislation will address that issue in the upcoming session. District is currently $910,000 over budget at this time for tuitions to charter schools. This is due to the Woonsocket Education Department no longer qualifying for the additional clawback of funds from mayoral academies. This has increased the RISE prep payments from $500,000 last year to $1.4 million for this year. At this time, all expenses related to technology and capital improvements will be directed through their appropriate reserve funds. We'll also be discussing this at the Finance Subcommittee, an update as to how we're doing with those funds and how we'll be utilizing them to get through the rest of the year. Again, I'll reiterate, we are looking at a $57,000 surplus at this time. And if the school committee has any questions, I'd love to answer them now.
Mr. Perrier, obviously, if Mr. Bourget was here, he would have a question for you, since he's a finance guy. Unfortunately, I'm not a finance guy, but I do want to know, because this bothers me, how were we communicated the increase from Rise Prep for our payments of 500,000 to now 1.4 million. How was that communicated to us?
So the way it works is when we actually have to do our budget before those numbers are released. So that number that I presented to you, I believe in April, that was basically a guess on my part, an educated guess. I was under the assumption we were going to obtain that clawback again. So I had a little bit lower of a number on our budget here. What happens is the state compiles UCOA data, and based on that compilation, the state in early June releases the tuition rates for the following fiscal year. So that's why we have this problem here versus from what I budgeted to what we're actually looking at. We don't get that information until after I present a budget to you, and now we're going to have to kind of figure out a way to get through the year and recover from that. So,
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question for Mr. Perrier?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. Very good. Great job. So I would like to make a motion to receive and place on file the fiscal update. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, well done. We are now moving on to the school. Was this planned that I got the meeting that was chock full of everything here? Okay. We're now moving on to the school building committee update. Notarani.
you can send us all home if you'd like, Mr. Vice Chairman.
I do get the gavel.
So the school building committee met on Friday, December 12th at 9:30 at Woonsocket City Hall. The meeting agenda covered an update from Downs Construction, which is the owner's project manager. They reviewed the project schedule, and I want to make sure it's noted here for the minutes and over the radio that the New City Elementary School is on schedule. As of Friday, we are on schedule to open for August 2027. In addition to the project schedule update, we were provided a budget update. And as of Friday, we are on budget and on task. And we also reviewed the offsite scope and funding, which entails the upgrades that are being proposed for Smithfield Road and our pursuit of DOT approval and funding to make the appropriate upgrades for the traffic flow. The design team, Daniel O'Connell and Sons and Jonathan Levy Associates, they did a brief overview of the next bid package, and they did their own construction upstate, which basically aligned with Downs. We approved several pay apps. We approved the operating procedures for the school building committee subcommittee payments and approval change orders. And we also approved early bid package number 2. And lastly, it was decided at this meeting that at our full school committee meeting in January, there'll be an update for the entire Woonsocket School Committee on the construction progress, which will also have some drone video and some pictures of the site work and a budget overview and whatnot. So, and that concluded the meeting, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Notarani. Anybody have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay, all right, great. Moving on. All right, we are now going to move on to a discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Thank you. I was ahead of myself here.
I will second the motion.
Okay, I'm going to first it then. Okay. I will make a motion to receive, place on file. Mrs. Costa seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, ayes have it. Okay, now, unfinished business is what our next item is.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Unfinished. Can you believe we have unfinished business?
And I'm going to make this
After all this.
quick too.
Okay, a discussion and approval on renaming the district-wide school committee subcommittee to the Student Safety and Behavioral Health Subcommittee. Now, this item was tabled at the last meeting, so I'm going to make a motion to remove this item from the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. Roll call vote, Dr. McGee.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to make a motion to discuss and approve renaming the district-wide school climate subcommittee to the Student Safety and Behavioral Health Subcommittee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Leclerc, Mrs. Costa. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Kepiscus.
I just want to make it clear to anybody who's wondering. The purpose for this change is basically because the state has mandated that we have a subcommittee by this name. And we already had a school climate subcommittee. It seemed to fit it appropriately. I want to make sure that our educators and other staff working in our schools knows that this doesn't mean that we're ignoring your concerns about your own safety. That is still part of this subcommittee. It's just a different title. It's going to be doing the same work.
Thank you, Ms. Kepiscus. And my one comment is, in the way that education now names the things, is this subcommittee going to be called the SSSBH?
We could do that. We certainly could. Catchy.
Okay, catchy.
It's
yeah.
catchy.
All right, if there's no more discussion, no more amendments. Let's have a roll call vote. Dr. McGee. Oh, did you have any comments on it? I'm sorry.
I do not. It simply is a name change.
Okay.
The focus remains the same. It would be the same group. It's just a name change.
Okay, very good. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
And Mr. Leclerc?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And in spite of all we've done, we have new business. It shouldn't take that long. Okay. Discussion and approval on the amendments to the attendance policy. Ms. Kepiscus.
I believe we've kind of gone over the details with regard to this. We have to make amendments to the attendance policy in order to comply with RIDE's initiative regarding chronic absenteeism and consideration of chronic absences in terms of how we treat students in terms of promotion and retention. And that's what this is intended to address.
And you dealt with quite a bit of that in your policy report, so I will make a motion to approve the amendments to the attendance policy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Dr. McGee.
Vice Chair Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to have just a discussion, not a vote, a discussion on the school committee's joint submission as part of public comment for proposed change to rules regarding amendment of charters and mayoral academies. And Mrs. Kepiscus, this is in your hands.
I was a little confused that it's a discussion and not a discussion and vote, but we'll get back to that. Essentially what this is about is there's a proposed change to the Rhode Island Code of Regulations regarding a major amendment submission by a charter or a mayoral academy. In particular, as everyone knows, last year around the same time, we were discussing RISE's attempt to change itself from a mayoral academy to a charter school. The reason being they were trying to address the clawback that basically the legislature just let happen, the loss of the clawback happen anyway. So it was to no end that we were fighting this, but essentially, if you're not a mayoral academies have a different clawback rule than independent charters have, and that's what we were trying to preserve last November. Right now, this proposed change is it's like an aside comment to this proposed change to the regulation that says that a major amendment now includes allowing a mayoral academy to convert to an independent charter through the major amendment procedure. I addressed to Mr. Chair, Mr. Bourget, and Dr. McGee that I have some real concerns about that because there are certain requirements that independent charters have to meet that mayoral academies don't. For one, an independent charter must be backed by a nonprofit whose main purpose is not educational, not the school itself. And there are certain financials that have to back that up. And it appears by changing this Code of Federal Regulations, they're trying to do exactly what they were trying to do last November, to allow a mayoral academy to change to an independent charter without having to comply with the statutory regulations. And my only issue was I had wanted us to basically issue a joint statement and comment as the part of the public comment to this Code of Federal Regulations change, Code of State Regulations change, that we're opposed to that because although you may treat it as a major amendment, as part of that major amendment process, the mayoral academy should be held to the same legal standard that the enabling statutes for independent charters requires, which is
Bless you.
that nonprofit backing and other certain requirements. I don't think that a change in the regulations would allow them to bypass those statutory requirements. There were 2 public comment sessions. One was at RIDE. No one attended that one. One was at the Harris Library. Dr. McGee, Mr. Bourget, and I attended. Dr. McGee and I were the only 2 that spoke. No one else was there. Clearly, they think this is already a done deal. That's how I interpret that. I just was hoping that we were, as a committee, we're going to submit a writing as part of the written comment to at least, I'm a lawyer, and my lawyer instincts tell me raise or waive. We raise the objection or we waive it. So I want to make sure we raise it. I'm going to submit a written comment myself, but I was kind of hoping the committee could, but since we can't take a vote, because that wasn't what was on the agenda, I'm going to assume we can't do that. Is that correct, Ms. Rapport? And now it's too late to do it because the public comment closes on the 10th. We don't meet again until after the 10th.
All right. So with that, put my name on that.
I'd be happy to share what I have, what I'm going to submit. And if you want to sign on, I'd be happy to.
I'll
do
gladly
that.
sign on.
Yeah, and I would also sign on it too.
Now I'm going to stare at you.
I'll do it too. Of
Okay.
course.
So I
You
would
already
be
know I
happy to
got your
prepare.
back.
We can all sign it, although it's not an official recommendation by the school committee. As members of the school committee, we can all sign it as individuals. I'd be happy to do that and happy to circulate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's still a great discussion, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very good.
My concern is, and I said this when I gave my public comment, it really offends me that they are referring to themselves as a charter and not a mayoral academy, because no matter what they call themselves, they're still a mayoral academy and they're still bound by that statute. And that's a much easier thing to accomplish than it is an independent charter. Oh, that was the other piece. A mayoral academy requires you to have more than one sending community. Right now, because North Smithfield has pulled out, no, North Smithfield was cut out and Barville has pulled out, they only have one sending community, which means they don't even qualify as a mayoral academy under the enabling statute anyway, which is why I think they're in a rush to get this done before someone calls them on it.
Trying to save their hide.
Right.
And if you remember last year, when several of us spoke to the Council of Elementary and Secondary Education, Rise Prep Mayoral Academy was already changing their website and got rid of Mayoral Academy and were calling themselves just a regular charter school.
It's not, it's not that I'm opposed to charters, and it's not that I'm opposed to Rise in particular. I just want a level playing field. There's certain requirements Founders must meet and Beacon must meet that Rise isn't being required to meet, and that's not fair.
Agreed.
But in many ways, it seems like a done deal to us, and
Correct.
that's frustrating.
I think so too.
You know. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, finally, new business. Discussion and approval of the Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center admission policy for the first passage. That means we can come back to it. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center admission policy for the first passage. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Leclerc. Any discussion?
Wait, Mrs.
sorry.
Costa.
I did not get married.
I'm sorry. Okay, it's late.
It is late.
So anyway,
My
sorry,
wife would
sorry,
object.
Mrs. Costa. My apologies. Any discussion, further discussion? I mean, I think Mrs. Kapistis talked a great deal about this in her policy statement. Does anybody else want to add anything? It's all good?
It's all good.
It's all good.
We
First
have
passage, remember. Roll call vote, Dr. McGee.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Having no other business to declare on our agenda, I will make a motion to adjourn at 9:15. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.